Hi there, it's Kelly, your tech savvy business mentor here. And in this week's Tech Talk, I'll be talking with Erin McAndrew, a singer songwriter and voiceover artist, all about how she uses Google Workspace to run her business. So stick around. Hey, Erin, I'm so excited to talk to you about this because I'm kind of a fan of the same tool that we're going to be talking about today. And I use it in some ways, but I'm really curious to see how you're using it because our businesses are so
So
different.
different. Yeah,
And and it just proves that like these tools are they can be so universal. We get
absolutely.
so stuck in our heads about, oh, well, my business is XYZ, so I can't use the same things as, and it's so not true. And that's kind of what I'm loving about these talks is that I'm realizing that it really doesn't matter what your business is.
No.
There are totally ways to use these things across businesses. I love it. So,
Yes.
first things first, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Let them know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So my name is Erin McAndrew. I am a full-time gigging musician and country rock singer-songwriter. I am also a voiceover artist as well. And in voiceover, I focus primarily on commercial e-learning, radio, promos, etc. Um, as well. So obviously you'll see where Google Workspace ties
Spoiler
into that.
alert.
Spoiler alert, it's Google
It's all right. It's
Workspace.
already in the thumbnail and description. It's not a
Okay,
secret.
cool. You'll see how that goes into it because it is an essential part of my business. Because even though I am a creative person, it's still, as we all are in a certain sense, right? A lot of you watching this. Um, Even though it is a creative endeavor, it's still, I look at it as a business and it's an essential tool for my business. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so key what you just said, because I think previously for myself, my business was in the musical theater world and auditioning and audition coaching and all of that. And one of the things that I found that my students came to without the right mindset was that their performing was a business.
yeah,
Now, there are plenty of people out there who do understand that and treat it as such, and it shows, right?
yes,
But I mean, if it's a hobby, it's a hobby. But if it's what you want to do, then it's a business.
right.
And you 100% get that. You have since the day I met you. So, it's very clear that, you realize that it's not just about the fun creative stuff. It's not just about being on stage and performing or being in the studio behind the mic, whatever it might be. There's so much that goes into getting to where you get to be on stage and
Yeah,
getting to where you get to be in the studio behind the mic, right? And
yeah.
that's what I'm assuming Google Workspace you mostly use it for. So tell me a little bit, because I've used it a ton in my own business, but I'm curious to hear how you're using it.
So Google Sheets is like my main hub for like everything. So, you know, I really kind of created my whole gig booking system that I've, successfully done over and over again since pretty much I want to say 2016 or 17, where I literally have tracked all these different venues, all of their information. So email addresses, you know, websites, all their contact information. And I, what I use it as is I have my own color coding system within Google Sheets that I use for my outreach. So when I go in, I can see when's the last time I reached out to this place. You know, when when should I reach out to them again? I also put different colors, like, so if I put it in red, that means that it was either a no or they're not booking musicians right now. Or if it's green, then I've booked with them, and then I usually put like okay, need to follow up with them at this point to book for the following year. So it's like, so I've started creating all that. And then I also have all of my tabs at the bottom based on region. So like, I'm based in New Jersey. So I have most of like the New Jersey wineries that I play at. And then I have a tab for like New York. I still have my tabs from when I lived in LA. So it's like I have all of this just all within Google Sheets. I also use it for my budgeting and my income and all of those things as well. One of the things I do love about it too is that like if I really needed to see something on my phone, I could download the app for Google Sheets on my phone and like be able to like log in real quick and see it. Whereas like, you know, I mean, I'm sure that there's a way to do that with like numbers on a Mac, but I've never looked into it. And I just feel like Google is so connected with a lot of that. Um, it's also been so helpful just as like a Google Workspace, from a Google Workspace standpoint, to be able to like just drop files in there and then share those as well. So I've like put some of my, like when I have my email series for my, for my supporters, my fans, that they go through my email funnel. Um, I think my songs that they get the links to are like dropped from my Google Drive. So it's like it does make it so nice to be able to have all these different things in here. And obviously some things can be public. You can like restrict things on certain things. So it's really nice and convenient. And like I also like I started playing around with what is it called? Is it called Keynote? The one that's the presentation one?
Oh no, I think it's called Slides, Google
Slides,
Slides.
Google Slides. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was also something that I utilized a lot because I also used to coach musicians, still do from time to time, but that was something I really liked utilizing too. And I didn't really realize that a lot of that existed until I started getting in there and I was like, wow, this is great. And the fact that like you don't have to pay for it like is huge. I mean, like, because I know, like, I'm pretty sure, like, Microsoft Office, like, if you buy that for like Mac or PCs, like, that's still something you have to purchase. And I feel like a lot of the same formatting and everything you can do is all within the Google Workspace. So I feel like that's just been such a game changer.
Yeah, no, completely. And I think another thing that's really useful about it is that it is so system agnostic. I mean, Microsoft, you can get Microsoft on a Mac, but it's not as happy there. Let's just put it that
No,
way.
it's not. Yeah.
Where Google, because it's cloud-based, instead of being like in your system, I mean, you
Yeah.
can download things and like we know you can download Drive and you can download all of that, but you don't have to, right?
Right.
And you can keep it all in the cloud. And so therefore it can seamlessly go back and forth between a Mac user and a PC. And while I'm, strictly a PC most of the time, I understand, like, especially in the creative world, when you're talking about music and things like that, like that's a very Mac heavy world.
Yeah.
So being able to know that if you send something like that back and forth, that it's easily accessible without worrying about what kind of system the recipient is on, right?
Right.
That's huge. And it's easily accessible from the phone too, even if it's in Google Drive, like a link that, like you said, they could technically download it on the go. So if
Right.
you uploaded for them an audition for something, they could listen to it even if they're not at their computer. And for
Yeah.
you, I would assume that's fantastic because, in the world of VO especially, it's kind of fast paced, right?
It is.
Like
Yes.
you don't, there's not really a bunch of just like waiting around. When you get an
Yeah.
audition, you got to record it, send it off, ba-boom, ba-boom, and they're listening and picking someone and it goes fast.
It does.
So
Yeah.
having a way that you can share all that and not having to have this weird back and forth of, oh, the file was too big, it won't go through. Oh, can you use my Dropbox? Oh, can you? It's a pain. It's
Yeah.
pain.
It
So
is.
I think it's super smart that you're using that. So there was something you mentioned to me the other day, though, that I definitely want to make sure we touch on here because it's one of the things about Google compared to, for example, if you were to use numbers, I'm not as familiar with. So correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if numbers can do it, but like even with like Google Slides or using Canva presentation, they both have this functionality, but it's not as free. I'll just put it that way. It's not free, but the collaboration capabilities that these tools have, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these tools have some version of it, but it tends to live behind a paywall of some sort. And within the Google Suite, it's very much not a paywall situation.
Right.
They tend to get you when you start to fill up your space, like storage.
Yes.
That's when they get you.
Which it takes a while to do that. I mean, I've had the same account for years and I haven't filled it up.
It does, but I've noticed that because I'm gonna confess for a second, I'm an email hoarder. I have a hard time deleting emails, and your Gmail and your Google Drive share space.
That's right.
So if you're an email hoarder, especially if somebody sends you large emails and you don't delete them, then it's not hard to fill that up really fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just putting that out there. But you're right. In the drive itself, it's there seems to be a ton of space in there. But talk about how you use it, use the collaboration tools within it.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because I was like, oh, I can't forget to talk about that part because that's like, so, I mean, I love that part of it because last year I was collaborating with a friend, another musician friend of mine, Highlands, if you're watching. We did a lot of Instagram lives last year where we talked about different aspects of the music industry and basically helping other musicians with their music careers. And she lives across the pond. She lives in the UK. I live here. So it's like, you know, coordinating times to talk wasn't always ideal. So we ended up creating a Google Sheet document where we would put in what, you know, like, okay, like what are we talking about this month? What are the main points we want to focus on, et cetera. So like when we'd have calls like this, we were able to do the notes and then see them come up in real time. But if like either of us had an idea offline, we could just add it to the Google Sheet and then send a quick message and let each other know that we've updated it. You know, it's such a great collaborative space, and like also like non-business related. My family and I like just made a list because we're going to the beach in July, and like we just did a Google Doc of like all of the things that we are bringing. So it's like even good for like things like that, you know, like so I think it's just such a great tool to have. And the fact that you can just send the links. I think the other thing too that it's huge for is for businesses and people that have like either creative businesses or tech businesses where you're giving away some kind of template or something that is a Google Sheets document that you can just make a copy of and then have a template for yourself. Like, I think that's just so cool. And there's been so many cool templates that I've gotten just because they've either sent them through Google Sheets or Google Docs. And then you can kind of just copy it and then make it your own or whatever, like the freebie or whatever it was. But I just think there's so many possibilities with it, and it's just been such a cool tool to have. And to be able to organize your business. I mean, you have the different folders and all those kind of things too, that you can really kind of just have it be its own little computer setup, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing I do want to point out though, for anybody who does try to use a Google Sheet or Google Doc the way that Erin was just talking about as like a freebie, you do have to make sure you set up the sharing rules correctly.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that when you, wherever you host the link to your freebie or in the email where you're explaining to somebody how to use it, make sure you tell them, make a copy and then make it your own.
Yeah. Because
depending on how you share it, if you share it in the wrong way, then they will just change your document. So just be very aware of that. It's easy enough to do, but it's also easy to overlook and hit the wrong button. So just be very aware of that. But it is a super cool feature. I always love it when I sign up for a freebie sort of thing and it turns out to be something simple like that, that it's a Google Doc, especially if it's especially if it's something like helping me write out emails or something. Because another thing I've noticed in Google Doc that I like is that as you create kind of like headers within your document, it creates its automatic table of contents on the left. Have you noticed this? So
Yes.
like you
Yeah.
can hide it, if you don't need it, but when you bring it out, you can click on it. It helps you just very easily navigate to where you want it to be on
It
the
does.
page,
It's so
which
cool.
I mean, that's such a simple thing, but when you think about the time you waste scrolling, trying to find what you're looking for, it's such a time saver. So
Absolutely.
I love that feature. That's awesome. Is there anything else because you've touched on pretty much all the ways and things that I've used it for. So, and some things that I haven't thought as much about using it for, but is there anything that you really, really want to make sure you bring up before we're done? Like anything that pops into your mind at the end saying like, oh gosh, I have to remember to say XYZ.
I mean, I think one thing that's really good is that like there's times where like you'll want to send something through email, say it's a video or something. Like again, if anybody's watching that is like in the entertainment world and you need to send some kind of video like self-tape audition or like some kind of demo or you know uh pictures or anything that's going to be a large file, like one of the things that's nice is that you can just pop that obviously from your website would be the most ideal, but like having a Google, you can always upload the video or the file or whatever into your Google Drive and then create a link and send it instead of just, sending it directly through email or even, I mean, I'm not sure what the maximum is, but like instead of doing like WeTransfer, which is obviously also a great tool.
Yeah, I think that's like 2 or 3 gigs max.
Yeah. But
Which,
it's nice
yeah,
being able to have the ability to like upload a video into your drive and then send that as a link and then they can get it and download it.
yeah.
I actually that's how I when I first started working with my voiceover coach, that's how she sent me the first few introduction videos was like through a Google Drive link and then
Oh,
I was
smart.
able to download them. Yeah. So,
Yeah, you could almost, I mean, to that end, you could almost have an entire course in Google Drive if you don't have like
which I have done actually. I've done that.
yeah. No,
Done
you
that too.
totally could. If
Yeah.
you don't have like course, a course system like Kajabi or something like that, because they're incredibly expensive. We all know that. If you don't have that yet, you could totally send, create a folder on your Google Drive and share the whole folder,
Yeah.
which is another thing that I like is that you don't only have to share a file, you can share a folder, which
Right.
I used to do when I was auditioning. I would create like my submission packet and it would have my headshot, my resume, whatever else they were asking for, it just in one link. So yeah, no, super handy. Love that. Well, awesome. This gets me all like inspired to go back in there and play in there again.
You should.
I've gotten so Trello reliant and that's not going anywhere anytime soon, but Google can do almost all the same things,
Yeah.
and there's so many more people who have Google than have Trello. So like if you send a link, it's just more universally accepted, if that makes sense. But I'm working on that one person at a time.
One person at a time. That's true.
But I think that's awesome. It kind of makes me think, okay, I should go back and look and see what's changed and what's improved since I've been in there because it's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But I will definitely put a link to Google Workspace down below. And Erin, I will also put some links to your website because you have 2, right?
Yes.
So we'll make sure both of those are in the description as well. Thank you for coming in and chatting with us. I love how such a creative business can use such a, like, I hate to say it, but like a nerdy tool in such a cool way. You know what I mean? I think it's awesome. So
thank you for having me on and like, and I love talking about this kind of stuff. And it's like, if it, maybe somebody hasn't thought about doing that in their creative business and they're like, huh, that might be a good way to keep a track of my contacts. So glad I could, hopefully help inspire someone to use it.
Absolutely. Help inspire a creative to be a little more organized.
Yes.
Doesn't always come naturally to us creatives.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome.
And if you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. The online tools for your business do not need to be complicated or overwhelming. It's time to let it be easy.